This week, Mojang delivered on one of the most requested features the game has ever seen, 8 new wolves for 8 new biomes, and it leads some people to wonder if this feature would have been added if it was a crab or penguin that won. I think that Mojang have different update paths per mob, and that does seem quite likely, especially because the wolf variants are coming in a special update alongside the wolf farmer and the armadillo before 1.21. That's right, in the next couple of months in this update right here, you'll be able to play around with these new wolves, and so a lot of people say, okay, it was entirely worth the armadillo winning, even if you didn't vote for it, and some people would say something a bit more like, well, as a crab voter, this is a damn good implementation of the armadillo feature, and if it means we have to lose the crab to get the wolf variants, then it may have been worth it. And on the surface, yeah, having just a slightly extended reach, or having 8 new wolves plus decent wolf armor, plus better wolf AI altogether, then actually this is a really big win. However, I think some people would also say, going back to Daniel King's point, that actually if the penguin mob, we could have done a Stony Shores or Ice update. If the crab one, we could have had a whole update to do a block placement, but as someone who would have much preferred a way to make boats go faster or extended block reach compared to just having armor for your wolf, I do have to say this is a great way to turn that into something. We don't know what a crab or a penguin update would have come with, but now we know that those features are kind of back in the idea pool, and so it's possible that Minecraft creates a way to extend block reach that could be much better than the current system. I like the idea of using a beacon, making a new effect which is block reach, or having a potion which can extend it, but something that isn't a specific item from a specific mob is actually a better way to implement those. And so although some crab voters are regretting their decisions, if you're not one of them yet, maybe we could consider that the extended block reach might come in a better way in the future. Speaking of the future, just like with multicolored beds, this is an awesome update and will be loved by many, but then again, just like the multicolored beds, how the red bed is still the overall and most safe bed, the OG wolf will remain the fan favorite, I think. So Christian Offstang, let me introduce you to something I'm calling the World Cup of Minecraft Dogs. This is a silly thing I've been doing on my community page recently, where I've been trying to work out the answer to the question, which is the best new dog? My personal favorite was the striped originally, but I kind of like the spotted wolf too. The black wolf has some charm, and long story short, I decided to poll them by making a tournament style bracket. So black wolf went against ashen wolf, and ashen wolf won. Chestnut went against rusty, and rusty won. The spotted wolf slightly beat out the snowy wolf, even though the snowy is the rarest, and the woods wolf absolutely destroyed the striped wolf, which tells me I always have the unpopular choice in a democracy. And so we went into round 2 with the winners of each of these. So the rusty wolf versus the ashen wolf had a very slight lead for the rusty wolf. The woods wolf absolutely destroyed the spotted wolf, however, and so then there were just 2 wolves left for a 1v1, except obviously this tournament bracket only has the new wolves in it. I figured just for curiosity we would put the pale wolf in versus the other 2 to see if it would maybe beat out either of them, and the answer is no. The rusty wolf and the woods wolf are very close to each other, but the pale wolf is massively behind. This might change in the future, but for now a lot of people prefer a lot of the new wolves to the old one, and honestly I kind of see it. If all of the new wolf textures look like the black wolf, where let's be entirely honest with ourselves, it's just a recolored regular wolf, I think a lot of people would prefer the regular one, but the new wolf textures have a lot of variety to them, which makes me think that it's not going to be recolors like beds, but instead it's going to be like cats, where some people use the original few, but a lot of people prefer the new ones too. By the way, the final round of the World Cup of Dogs is going to be happening just after this video, so check out the community post later today, and you can decide whether the woods wolf or the rusty wolf is in fact the best doggo in Minecraft. Speaking of the best doggo, Says9396 has a really interesting point about how people love these new dogs so much, almost honestly to the point where 1.20.5 and 1.20.80 are going to be updates preferred to 1.21. New dogs seem like they're more exciting to many players than the trial chambers, and so says it may not be as appealing or exciting to new players, but if Mojang decided to release an update that refreshed existing mobs and features instead of just adding new ones, I would be way more excited for it to be released. Yeah, everyone is asking for an end update, but even something smaller, like an update refining features that feel unfinished, like the imbalancing of the anvils, enchanting, revisiting the modes of transport, rebalancing food types, etc., they would much rather existing items be updated than a bunch of new things that are only exciting because of the novelty of being new. This is a really good point that honestly Mojang has taken to heart. Look at the excitement for new dogs versus the trial chambers, and then look at every update since 1.13 where they decided to revisit the oceans and go for the update aquatic, which was loved by the community. You can see that that is something they've taken to heart, because every good big update has been a big one themed around updating something we already have. Village and Pillage, Never Update, Caves and Cliffs. Honestly, Mojang has almost exclusively decided to re-update the existing content rather than add new wheels to the ship, because it's really hard to add new content that perfectly fits into Minecraft, especially now that it is almost 15 years old. By the way, 2 months till that event. But now that the game is almost 15 years old, it feels weird to add anything to it that hasn't been there for those 15 years. And I think the closest they've come to trying in the past 8 updates has to be 1.21 with the trial chambers. This is a brand new thing you can find in your world. It's a brand new experience. And honestly, a lot of people go, yeah, I'm not sure that's a good enough update for me. And then people go, wow, new wolves, this is incredible. This is the real state of the community. And it is a show that Minecraft is not immune from a wider game industry effect, where you're seeing the same games from about 15 to 20 years ago being remade over and over again. You know, Mario is still making 2D games because people love this idea of playing basically what they played already, but new or remixed in some way, much more than they love the idea of getting into something brand new. It's the reason we see remakes in movies too, and it's kind of weird to see Minecraft effectively remaking itself, because it's very hard to add new content and not have it feel like it is a mod. Although, to be fair, that's partially why they're leaning into add-ons on Bedrock, but this is part of the struggle with any game that gets as mature as Minecraft. People like and expect a certain type of gameplay, and they want exactly that gameplay, but feeling new. And honestly, you could see at this point that they could redo any of their big updates. Like, people have been calling for an end update. That's what 1.9 was, but really, they could go for that again. People have been calling for a combat update. That's also what 1.9 was. Honestly, we're getting to the point where I think people would say, yeah, we could do with another village update. I think the mechanics are kind of OP and could do with a rebalance. Oh, wait a minute, Mojang has already been working on that too. Any feature that has been in the game for a long period of time, people say, yeah, but this could be nice if it was changed again, and so we might get stuck into a cycle almost like GTA does, where they make the same 3 games over and over again. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Kind of depends on your opinion. Speaking of your opinion, Crypt761 asks, did you change the format of these videos? Is it no longer Q&A Saturday? Just curious. By the way, hello, I'm AbbyXToyCat, and welcome back to Q&A Saturday. This is the weekly series where I answer your questions about Minecraft updates, the universe, and everything in between. And this is one of the longest running series on the channel, which is why Crypt is asking about it. I have been doing this for well over a decade now, and it used to be back in the early days of YouTube, you'd only do a Q&A for a big milestone, but I always liked the idea of actually having a back and forth for the community, actually being able to respond to some of your biggest questions, and so that's why I did it every single week. And over time, the Q&A fell in and out and then back out of fashion, and so partially because of that, it's also evolved how it is here on my channel, and so there is a lot more news that comes into this, which I think is a good improvement, and also the types of comments we go into have changed. So there are some comments that I get every single week, like this one: you are just so incredibly entertaining, few personalities can keep me watching just like you do. I watch you both for Minecraft content, but more because of what you talk about while playing. I love your take on Minecraft news / updates and your views and opinions about life and living. I need to start watching your channel 2 videos. Thank you, Jenny Nobody. This is a very fun comment. I enjoy it a lot. However, a lot of people say, why do you just pick the most positive comment? That's not any use to me, the viewer. And so instead I could give get a comment like this one: I'm a noob. How are you placing blocks without looking at the face of the blocks? When you're building that ice bridge, you weren't even close to the edge and definitely were not looking at the face, but your blocks were placing most of the time. This is referring to the ice bridge where this happened, by the way. And if it doesn't look ugly, it looks good. Oh no 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 no. And I've got to admit, I find it funny that someone watched that and saw exactly what happened and said, but how was he placing the ice before that happened? By the way, my end is now in a really sorry state. I'm going to have to spend a lot of time improving that. But in the meantime, I should say that if you want to place ice in front of you, on Bedrock, you can place a block in what looks like it should be the ground, the block in front of your one, and it will place blocks right there. This is very, very handy. It's one of the best Bedrock exclusive features, and it's a really useful tip that I hope a lot of people get value from. But I also admit that at this point in the channel, where, you know, like we're 10 years in, a lot of people know these basic tips, and so it's worth instead maybe asking questions about new things like trial burgers, or rather Triangle Burger 19's question: what happens if you have a tamed wolf and then update to this update? The answer is that any of your existing wolves will continue to look like this one, and then any new wolves you find will vary based on the biome you find them in. And so kind of like how red beds existed for so long and they were the only type of bed, every bed that was placed before 1.12 is still red. It's just that most Minecraft beds were placed after that, and that is why there's so many colorful ones, which will be exactly the same with wolves. As you go to different biomes, you find more colorful wolves. Although Linkrammer opposes the idea of it being locked behind specific biomes, because why would Mojang do it the right way? That would be too good. I would like to just take this comment apart for a second and say this is a big problem of complaining for Mojang about something which I think is objectively better. It was specifically stated by Lady Agnes in this week's Minecraft Monthly that they wanted you to...
We think they are really exciting from more a collecting perspective. Like, you can set the fun goal for yourself to collect all the wolf variants. And since they also are like spread out in different biomes, that means that you need to like travel in the Minecraft world, and I think that journey in itself is really, really like delightful.
Having personally done that delightful journey, I can personally confirm it's really fun to have another reason to explore your Minecraft world versus the way cats work, which is they're purely random. Random is way less fun than having adventure, in my humble opinion, and that of almost everyone else's. I'm really looking forward to finding decent seeds where you'd have all of these biomes somewhat near each other, and I think that's probably what Seed Sunday will be this week, to be honest with you. Speaking of being honest with you, can you stop brainwashing children with terrible ideology, please, says Humphrey Jones 1828. This is a confusing comment because I don't know what it's in response to. It came on one of the community polls about the wolves, so maybe they don't like the idea of democracy, but let me give you some terrible ideology only if you're a child. So if you're an adult, you can shut your ears for a few seconds. If you're a child, just know that everything in the world is made up, but also the democracy is really cool. Voting is not just a thing you should do because it's the least worst system of governance we've come up with and it makes that government more representative of people like you, but also because it just feels kind of fun. You go in there, you feel like you're doing an adult thing. I genuinely enjoy voting, even if I'm not under any illusion that I'm making some grand impact. Speaking of making grand impacts, by the way, I think that the last big thing I want to address today is this comment from HawkShadow74. This is great and all, really exciting. You know, I agree with this comment so far. We could get rid of the rest, but they then say, what about a working offhand? That would be really nice to have. Wow, that would be really nice to have. You know what else would be nice to have? Rapid health generation when eating, like in Java, or maybe even spectral arrows. Wow, these last three suggestions have been so good, but there's just no way to add those to Bedrock, unless of course they were working on a combat update. One of the big things that I am slightly disappointed by is that Minecraft is working on this big update for the Trial Chamber, but we haven't really seen them do a whole new field of this update. In fact, we don't even know the name of the update yet, and presumably won't for at least another few weeks. We are very, very close to 1.21 coming out, and honestly, we only really know one big feature. It has lots of tiny features inside of it, but I am very confused and a little bit concerned, and I would really just like to say this is my opportunity, my moment to believe or to manifest or whatever you want to call it. Please, Mojang, just give us, even if you just have to give Bedrock the good side of Java combat right now, please give us a combat update. If we mentioned before that honestly people love it when they take an existing part of the game and they update it more than making new things. Maybe that's the way they could really win some people over. What if combat got better for both editions at the same time? And more importantly, it wouldn't take a minute and 20 seconds to regenerate a health bar. That is legitimately true how long it takes on Bedrock, by the way. That would be incredible, but a man can only dream. Speaking of dreaming, if you've been dreaming about more Toy Cat videos, you can subscribe to the channel and you'll perhaps see more of those. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Q&A Saturday, and if so, I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and the next one, and maybe if we're really lucky, in 10 years' time, we'll be looking back and nostalgizing about this moment. But for now, goodbye.